Hey, what's happening guys, Chris here with another Overwatch guide for you today, and in this video I'll be going over the offense character called Pharah. As an offensive hero, it's your job to rush the objective and provide fire to harass the opposing team, something that Pharah definitely doesn't have a problem with here. With a difficulty rating of just 1 star, Pharah's abilities and mechanics aren't too challenging to get the hang of, and you should be able to adapt your playstyle fairly easily to do well. She also has 200 health with no armor or shield. So pretty much the same as most other offensive, defensive and support characters too. So before the fall of Overwatch, Pharah enlisted in the Egyptian army and rose up through the officer ranks to eventually become a leader. But just before she was able to join Overwatch, it collapsed, and so she was offered employment with Helix Security International, a company which guarded the former Overwatch base, along with other places such as a top secret research facility under the Giza Plateau, which is where Pharah was situated. Here she gained training and access to an experimental combat suit named the Raptora Mark 6, and uses it to safeguard the facility, which is vital for the safety of the world. Now the primary weapon that you'll be using to blast people away with is a rocket launcher that can deal a decent amount of damage with a fairly high blast radius. The launcher can fire 1 rocket per second, and a direct impact will do 120 damage, with an indirect shot dealing up to 80 from splash damage, and this figure depends on how close your enemy is to the exploding rocket as it hits a surface. The splash radius of each blast is about 3 meters, so as long as your target is within this, you should be able to cause some damage to them. The rockets can be very deadly on the other players on the opposing team, though you're not completely safe for them either, as the blast from the rockets can take up to 40 health away from yourself by firing them too close. So it's best to be careful when shooting them, as hitting the surfaces close by could chip some of your own health away, and possibly even kill you, if you're running low. The launcher can hold 6 shots at a time before the need to reload, which is more than enough to usually take out an opponent with a few well-placed shots. Although the rocket launcher deals a very high amount of damage, it's not exactly the simplest weapon to master, as to hit enemies directly, you'll need to not only be able to aim well, but you'll also have to predict player movement too. The rockets travel pretty slowly through the air, and so you're going to have to essentially shoot where your target is going to be. This isn't extremely difficult to judge at those closer to medium ranges, but the further away you get, the harder the weapon becomes to use, meaning you'll probably have to use that splash damage a lot more to knock out smaller chunks of health rather than relying on a killing blast. The rocket launcher is a pretty good area denial tool to deter enemies from taking objectives and advancing through narrow choke points, as the rockets can be spammed to chip away health and harass other players, knocking them around slightly by each blast, putting their aim off and making it easier for your allies to move in and finish them off. But to help you get up high into the sky to fully utilise the rocket launcher's capabilities, Pharah can use Jump Jet, which activates the suit's thrusters to shoot you straight into the air, up to round about 20 meters or so. Being above your enemies allows you to rain death from the heavens, giving you a much clearer view of your surroundings and lets you see opponents more easily, often without them spotting you. Being in the air is also much more useful for attacking too, as each rocket you fire off at someone is likely to hit the floor nearby to your target, if it doesn't directly land on the head that is. And this makes it easier to cause some damage with the splash of the blasts, affecting multiple opponents at once, all while doing so out of clear line of sight. The jump jet is also a good one to use for reaching platforms high above easily, and gain access to routes around the map that are inaccessible to a lot of other players. As a panic tactic, you can use the jump jet ability to fly up into the air when taking damage, often getting you out of harm's way and allowing you to retreat away from a battle that's not really going in your favour. It's got a 10-second cooldown time, and if you can get high enough, the ability should be able to be used again, not long after your feet touch the floor. Now, you're not going to be able to stay in the air forever, as the jump jet only flings you up into the air, giving you that tactical advantage, but gravity's gonna once again get in your way and bring you back down to the ground. But one thing that will help you out here is Pharah's passive ability, the hover jets. These give you a slight boost in the air and do exactly what they say on the label. Being able to hover lets you jump over to out of reach platforms more easily, and stay in the skies for longer, controlling your descent back to the floor, and giving you more airtime to wreak havoc. This is activated by simply holding the jump button or secondary fire button, and allows you to gain a small amount of lift for around about 2 seconds, taking another 2 seconds for them to be used again once all the fuel is depleted. Whilst in the air, the hover thrusters are best used in small and controlled bursts when needed, as this will give you more control over your landing and let you align your shots up a tad more easily with hostile players down on the ground. Tapping the hover ability in short presses will also allow your fuel to return, giving you more lift where you need it most. Another trick that Pharah literally has up her sleeve is a Concussive Blast that's fired from the wrist. This launches a different kind of rocket towards the reticle, one that deals no damage but instead throws everyone within the blast radius up to 10 meters away from where they were originally standing. This ability is great for clearing congested objective points and pushing other players far away from where they need to be, temporarily messing with their aim and confusing them as to what the hell just happened. The Concussive Blast is also a great way to blast your enemies off high ledges, cliffs and pits, letting them plummet down to their deaths below. A sneaky trick to preserve your jump jet, or get a boost into the air if it's unavailable, is to combine the Concussive Blast with your hover ability to gain some extra altitude when your jet thrusters are warming back up. The Concussive Blast affects yourself as well as hostiles, so it's otherwise best to be used at range unless you're prepared to be flung through the air along with your targets. Though this can be used as a tactical move to quickly let you escape from an enemy attacker, pushing them away from you, increasing the gap between them and letting you escape from a hairy situation quickly. The blast from the concussion also deals very high damage to shields and protected barriers such as Reinhardt's barrier field, and so this is very helpful for your team to prevent tank and defensive players getting the better of you. So it's time to go over the ultimate ability called Barrage, and this one basically lets you annihilate groups of enemies with a continuous stream of lethal rockets for 3 seconds. This ability lets you fire off 30 rockets per second, and each of them doing roughly 40 to 50 damage. You'll be able to aim your explosive bombardment wherever you want, and it's a great way to wipe out multiple enemies close together, guarding or attacking objectives, and travelling through narrow openings and choke points in the map. The rocket barrage is very powerful when aimed correctly and used at the right moment, and the best way to use it is to combine the barrage with your jump jet to gain some height first, then activate the barrage to suspend yourself in the air and rain down rockets onto the battlefield. This ability does however leave you a bit vulnerable from behind and side angles, as you're not invincible and you can't move or use other abilities once activated. Plus you can also deal some self damage if shot at surfaces close by. Though the barrage ability is quite effective at targets at closer to medium ranges, and is slightly less effective at taking out enemies from longer distances. So overall, Pharah is a great offensive hero for attacking objectives and generally disrupting the enemy team. She can deal a lot of damage, blowing people up from the sky, and down to her aerial playstyle, she might be a tough character to take out for heroes using shorter range weapons and ground based attacks, though you will be more vulnerable in the air with less cover being available, and so you might have to watch out for Bastion's sentry or Torbjorn's turret, along with other weapons with high accuracy and range. But the combination of Pharah's explosive firepower with those thrust and hover abilities will let you devastate your opponents from above and push the objective, giving your teammates some much needed backup. So that's just about it for this one guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, drop us a like and that'll be much appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for more Overwatch guides and other stuff, and I'll see you in that next one.